Hey guys, you're watching VGM Presents Comics with Mark, and I am your host, Mark Rodriguez. And yes, right now we're going to talk about this brand new spin-off series of the IDW TMNT, which is called Mutanimals. And I also want to say that I also got a brand new computer here after the other one kind of basically died out on us. And yeah, it's so new, it's still in the box, but of course I'll check it out later. It's kind of cold and snowy outside. We're going to wait for this guy to go to room temperature before we check it out. And of course, hopefully we'll be back to making more videos in a better schedule and all that. Well, anyways, this particular comic book does deserve a bigger backstory because we did have a previous series called Mighty Mutanimals back in the 90s. Let's explain that real quickly. Now, of course, everyone knows about the 80s Turtles with the Cowabunga, the Pizza, Shredder, Bebop, Rocksteady, all that stuff. Everyone knows that. So Archie Comics made their own version of the comic books based on the cartoon of that time. And yeah, the first issues were actual like cartoon adaptations of the episodes, but eventually after issue 5, they started doing their own stories. They went to a whole different direction. The stories had a lot more, I mean, they were like story arcs and everything. Unlike the cartoon show that was pretty, random episodes. Basically, watch them out of order makes no difference. Here, there was more consistency. They were fighting more villains besides just the Shredder. They have all these different things, all these different themes, and the series got a lot more serious and darker overall. And along the way, the Turtles would meet, of course, other characters like Leatherhead, Man Ray, Mondo Gecko, and stuff like that. And these characters would eventually form their own, I guess, side superhero mutant team, whatever you want to call them, that was called the Mighty Mutanimals, led by Man Ray. And we had Leatherhead, Mondo Gecko, we had the Archie Comics original characters of Jaguar and Dreadmon, and Wingnut and Screwloose, and they were basically, I guess, saving the world. They started off by saving the world from an evil alien invasion and all that, and hey, Raphael was in it for a couple of issues, but after that they kind of went their own way, exploring the world, or basically helping Jaguar find his mother, all that stuff. And the thing is, the people that made the series actually wanted to make a TV show about this, like a cartoon show, which honestly would have been kind of weird because the art style they were going for was very different from the cartoon show of the Turtles in the 80s. And of course we had things like Leatherhead was a bad guy in the 80s cartoon, and for him to be a good guy in this other series, I don't know how they're going to do it, or I don't know how they're going to make it connect to the other series. But either ways, they got to know it didn't go through and everything, and they already had character designs and stuff ready to go, but oh well. I think that for this reason, he did a shocking thing where they actually killed off the Mutanimals in the comics. Yes, they were gunned down, and I'm not talking about laser guns, no, I'm talking about actual guns with bullets, just gunned down. No big epic issue-long fight to the finish, no, it's like a 4 or 5 page thing where they just came in, shot them, dead. And for an Archie Comics that was, kid-friendly, that was kind of shocking. And to make it even more shocking, the comic book dealt a lot with time travel, and we had a lot of, like, this future Donatello and future Raphael that would come by to visit once in a while. They would see them dead and be surprised that, I guess, they died before their time. And that's it. There's nothing about, like, well, we got a time machine, let's go back in time and fix this, or let's go back in time and prevent this. They just stay dead, and for me it was shocking because besides some of the characters being made up, it was shocking that established characters like Leatherhead and Mondo Gecko were actually killed off for good. But yeah, so now we got this new version of the series, the new IDW Turtles, and the last review I did with the Turtles and Ghostbusters, I kind of explained a little bit in the backstory how the Turtles in this version used to be little kids in Japan with Splinter, like Kamatsuyoshi and his kids back in 16th century Japan. They were all killed by Shredder, but they were somehow reincarnated into turtles and rats, and of course they mutated to what they are now, and Shredder somehow got like he got preserved or something, and he's reincarnated today too, so that is the exact same Shredder from 16th century Japan attacking people. And of course, this is a whole new story, a whole new series, and along the way, yes, they would also meet other mutants and other characters, including Old Hob, this mutant cat that at the beginning of the series, he was just flat out evil, but now he wants to make like a mutant army because he thinks that humanity's time is over. They abuse, all that stuff. Humans are evil, typical stuff. So we're going to go after them. So now we got another team, and now we got Slashes with them. We got Mondo Gecko with them. We got this new character called Herman the Hermit Crab, and Pigeon Pete. And now they're making a new team just called Mutanimals, not Mighty Mutanimals. So yeah. First issue, spin-off series, that's enough of the backstory, that's more what you need to know. If you have any more questions and doubts, I do have lots of the Turtle issues being blogged about issue by issue that kind of leads up to this point. So let's dive right in. Mutanimals number 1. The issue starts out with Lindsay and Pigeon Pete out on a mission, and Lindsay basically their human assistant that used to work at StockGen, and now she helps them out with mutagen and experiments and all that stuff to make more mutants for Hob. As they're going out, these mysterious men just show up and randomly grab Pete, and reporting she could call for help or call her do anything, they grab her too. And the mysteries, of course, is who are these guys and how do they somehow know about Lindsay and mutants and everything. Meanwhile, the Mutanimals are heading back home after whatever mission they were on, and they just come to relax. They find out that Pete is mysteriously gone somewhere. That was a lot of foot ninjas we just fought, like a lot of foot ninjas. Yes, we prevailed against overwhelming odds. We should all be proud. Any of you guys seen Pete or Lindsay? They probably got sidetracked on a supply run. Pete's on an ice cream truck, or it's Lindsay! We're being attacked! 3 men! Devil band! License plate number is... Bang! Let's go, Mutanimals! Go where? So I expect that information to... Oh, come on, where the hell are you, stupid piece of... Here it is! I planted a tracking device on Pete weeks ago. After the beat up a Rocksteady incident, it just seemed like a good idea. Wait a minute, bro. You don't have, like, tracking devices on all of us, do you? No, of course not. You're just being paranoid. So yeah, so not only does he have the eye patch and he likes to wear the big old coats, now old Hob is starting to act more and more like Nick Fury. So the kidnappers take Lindsay and Pigeon Pete to these other people, and one of them happens to be this woman named Jillian, which Lindsay knows before. Apparently they work together, and apparently they used to be lovers, which is, well, what can I say? I think that throughout all Turtle history, I mean, unless you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe in the Mirage or something, but I do believe that this makes Jillian and Lindsay the first homosexual TMNT characters. So anyways, now she wants him to work with them, and apparently this secret gang here has been working to make mutagen for the Foot Clan, because of course now the mutagen's been running out. They used to have a big lab for it, but with all these attacks and of course the turtles getting in the way and everything, it's very hard to make more mutagen. So Jillian tries to convince Lindsay to work with them and make more mutagen for the Foot, and well, Lindsay herself was kind of sort of captured, kidnapped, and forced by Hob in the first place, so she doesn't really agree, but she wants to hear more about this. How did you do all this, Julian? So I work for a subsidiary of the No Group. You know, the corporate conglomerate that makes, like, pretty much everything. We managed to successfully create some mutants, but we're trying to combine DNA types, create the ultimate mutant. Combine mutant types? Can I see them? Well, I mean, there aren't any mutants here right now. We hit a wall. That's kind of where I'm hoping you'd come in. Wait, but where did you get the mutagen? There isn't much left. The old StockGen supply, Burnout Island, the Foot Clan, bingo! I mean, you really think the Foot Clan would make mutants on their own? No way! They outsource this to us. You're working for the Foot Clan? Hey, you want to compare notes? You're the one hanging out with mutant terrorists and helping to make more mutant terrorists. Besides of all the political stuff, it's like 18 levels of bureaucracy above me. My job is to run the lab for a Fortune 100 company and pull a totally kick-ass salary and benefits for doing it. It's a good deal, Lindsay, so come on, work with me. So the Mutanimals arrive in their own van, start chasing the other bad guy's van. Of course, it's open fire. They shoot off the car door, and they tell Pigeon Pete to jump, and it's like, well, dude, you're a pigeon. Fly. So he flies, and finds out that he can't fly, and falls down on the roof of the car, and some random kid finds him as he falls on the ground. Hey, buddy, I don't want to hurt you. Well, that's a lie, but I won't hurt you if you tell me where Lindsay Baker is. I don't know anything about any of that. Mondo, search his pockets. I guess, it's hard trusting strangers. Good to meet you, Mr. Merring of Hempstead, New York. Nice looking family, dog family. So now we get to know each other a little better. You want to talk if I rip your throat out? So the Mutanimals just bust right in trying to rescue Lindsay, and then Hob sees the place and he gets totally shocked. Well, what is this place? This is a lab, okay? And it's private property, so you need to know. I've been in places like this. But it's not a lab. It's a torture chamber. Old Hob starts thrashing the place, demanding to find the captured mutants, and of course at this point of their investigation, there still aren't any mutants made yet, but he doesn't believe them. He thinks all this equipment proves that there's gotta be some poor tortured mutant somewhere, so they start tearing the place up. Jillian makes a break for it. Lindsay, still feeling some kind of loyalty or whatever towards her, still kind of covers for her and tells the mutants that she ran the wrong way so she could escape. Could we wait a couple more minutes, give them time to clear out? Geez, Lindsay, they're attacking the lab. I understand that, but our lab. You're either with me or you're not, alright? Attacked? Attacked by what? Oh, I see. Yes, of course, I'll inform the CEO. And yes, here we see No Industries, and I'll explain this a bit later. Oh my god. So, the Mutanimals are going from room to room, and they're all empty. They can't find any captured people until they break open this other room, and they find Mutagen Man, which of course we know him as Mutagen Man. But yes, this mysterious, thing in the big capsule with the brain and guts and stuff lying around in it and everything. You said you're here to save me, so save me. And wow, all I gotta say is, oh damn. So Mutagen Man actually holds the gun up to his head and just wants to just be put out of his misery. And yes, Mutagen Man has appeared in both the 80s cartoon for a bit, and we've seen him in the new Nickelodeon version. And in both versions, he's basically, I would assume in this case too, a normal guy that becomes just a mass of floating organs and whatever, and a big capsule full of mutagen and whatever. And yes, I mean, that's a horrible thing. You don't want that to happen to you, of course. The 80s cartoon, I don't think they went too deep into it. In the Nickelodeon version, Pulverizer, of course, he's suffering. He went insane over it and everything. And of course, everyone thought the original scene where the mutagen fell him in the first place and all it was burning off his skin and stuff, that was pretty horrific. But in this version, like, wow, this person is in so much pain and so much suffering. He just wants like a gun to his head to put him out of his suffering. Now that's like dark, and that's like stuff that, you just won't see this in the cartoon. No matter how serious or dark or hardcore they want to make the cartoon, you're just not going to deal with something like this here. So the Mutanimals escape into the van with Mutagen Man, and they all get away. Alright, we've got ourselves a war. And yeah, I gotta say, there's a lot of stuff going on, and one of the big things I do want to talk right now that I've seen is this mystery guy, Null. Now, in the Archie comic books, Null was this evil businessman, and throughout the issues, he would always come out, like just behind the chair, a random hand with a big cigar, that kind of stuff. Like, he could never tell exactly who this guy was until he finally saw him, and he was basically like a dude with devil horns. And, as the issues went on, it would just get darker and darker. He would actually hire the apocalypse, the horsemen, death, famine, war, and pestilence. He would actually get the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse and Death himself to work for him. And yes, in fact, in the review of Turtles, Tournament Fighters, War, that's the same war I'm talking about, working for this guy. And Null, even basically in his last appearance, just turned into a full-on demon with wings and everything. And so, yes, this is basically the first official new character from the Archie comic, from the Archie version of the series, that is now going to be in this comic book. And it's pretty awesome, though, because he is a very high up there villain. And while in the Archie comic books, he came after Shredder and everything, so you never really get to see how they interact or whatever. In this comic book, it's like he's messing around with the Foot's business, he's messing around with the Crank's business, because Mugen is involving both. So we'll see what happens eventually with Shredder, Crank, and Null, and also to see just how this goes on. So yes, this comic book is a pretty good comic book. It's pretty awesome. It does help, though. You do have to read the IDW Turtle comic book series. You cannot just randomly pick this up because you're not going to know what's going on. You're not going to understand the characters or why this or why that. But basically speaking, that's how the original 80s one was too. If you didn't read the Turtle comics or 80s cartoon and you just picked it up and like, whoa, Leatherhead, Mondo Gecko's in this, you understand what the hell's going on either. It was a weird series. So they're both spin-off series. You really got to read Turtles first to understand what's going on. But this is just going to be so epic. For anyone that's read the original Archie comic books, for anyone that's seen all the sick and dark things that Null has done, because here this was a kid's comic book, and I'm talking about people burning in hell and implied, how can I say this, basically implied rape, I should say. And this is an Archie comic series, Let's see how deep it goes in this version. Let's see what happens here. And of course, the Mutanimals themselves, they're obviously it's a different kind of mutants, it's different characters, not the same ones from the old ones. Even like the Mondo Gecko we see here, it's not the Mondo Gecko we saw in the old comic book and the cartoons. all different characters. They're all, you know, more vicious, more hardcore. They're grabbing people, they're threatening their lives. They give us answers, I'll rip out your throats. Old Hob is doing like the whole Nick Fury thing. He may or may not be planting tracking devices on his own men, which of course may cause conflict later on and everything. And it's just a whole bunch of stuff. And of course, I guess if I should talk about it, like I said, this is probably the first time in a Turtle series ever that I know of that they ever had homosexual characters in it. It's pretty interesting, and you know, I mean, it's like, what can I say? It's well done. That's what I can say. I guess people's biggest complaints are if the characters act overly gay, and that's like their only defining character trait. And no, we have seen Lindsay, as minus the character she is, since the first issue, and she's been a lab assistant working for Stock Gen. She has her career. Before she was kidnapped, she was worried about like what she's going to do now in her life because she lost her job basically. So she has more of a character going on now than just, oh, she's the lesbian of the story, you know. So that's pretty interesting. And of course, Jillian, of course, has her own goals, her own whatever. So we got to see how this goes on involving the Foot Clan and everything. So yeah, pretty interesting characters, pretty cool. And of course we get to see what happens next. I gotta say, very good comic book. Was not expecting to see Null in it. Was not expecting to see Mutagen Man in it. And this, like how he just wanted a gun to his head just to end his misery. I mean, it's just intense. It's just intense. If you guys are any kind of fans of the old Turtles or big fans of IDW or whatever, just buy this book. That's all I gotta say. Just buy this book. Buy the series. It looks like it's going to be a real good one once it gets, especially when Null actually gets involved. And if they're going to include Mutagen Man, who knows who else they're going to include at this point. So people that are complaining that maybe there's too many characters in the Turtle comic books, now there's a place for these extra characters to be here. So just check it out. That's all I can say. So yes, Mark Rodriguez here, Comics with Mark. Check it out. I'll be seeing you at a comic book store.